all I do is grow, grow, grow no matter what. Got growth on my mind, I could never give up. And every time I get that sinking feeling that makes me feel stuck, I just keep trying, I just keep trying, I just keep trying, I just keep trying. Okay, welcome to another math lesson with Ms. Jones, and in today's lesson we are dividing 2 and 3-digit dividends by 2-digit divisors with single-digit quotients. And we will make connections to a written method, and in today's video our written method will be the area model. So let's go ahead first and knock out our joke of the day. So what did the pencil say to another pencil? I want you to think about it. What did the pencil say to another pencil? To the other pencil? It said, pencil, you're looking sharp. That's what it said. It said you're looking sharp. Man, I thought that was really funny. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on and dive into some math for today. So let's get started. Grab something to write on, write with, and try to work through these examples with me. So before we get into math, it's always good to kind of do a quick review of some terms we learned in 4th grade, some math vocab. Today we'll look at the word divide, and division simply means that we are taking a certain amount, and one way we can think about it is we are sharing that amount in equal groups. So in this example we have 15 apples and 3 groups, 15 divided by 3. And so each group had 5 apples. So that's one way we can think about division. Another way, which we'll use today, is we can think about it as we can have 15 apples and we can continue to subtract those groups of 3. And we got to think about how many groups of 3 did we subtract. Both of those methods will get us to the same solution, just different ways of thinking about it. Let's go ahead and continue with some more definitions. So our dividend, I'll use the word dividend and divisor a lot today in our lesson. And the word dividend really means kind of the total amount that you're starting with or the amount we're dividing by. So I really love Lifesaver gummies. I have a bag right here. Don't mind me if I eat a few during our lesson. But let's say I have 56 gummies, Lifesaver gummies, and I needed to divide that among 7 of my closest friends, okay? So the number 56, that number of gummies that I have available would be my dividend, okay? I don't have any more than 56. I don't have any less. I have exactly 56 available. The number 7 would be my divisor. That is the amount that I'm sharing. That is how many people I'm sharing with, okay? So I have 56 gummies. I have to share equally with 7 people. So I should have 7 unique groups, and my question would be, how many would each group or each person receive? Well, that answer would be my quotient. If I took my 56 gummies and divided them among my 7 closest friends, I know if I spread them out and I divided them into those groups, each person would get 8 gummies, okay? So that would be our quotient. The last definition or term that I would like for us to remember is the remainder. Sometimes once we've shared our gummies, our 56 gummies with everybody, sometimes there's an amount left over that we cannot share equally among the 7. That amount left over is called our remainder. So you'll hear these terms today. If you forget any of them, just rewind, just go back in the video and take a look at those terms. So let's look at our first example here. In our first example, before we get started, division is a skill that can be really challenging for many scholars, okay? So at the top of the page here today, you see the phrase, just because I'm having trouble doesn't mean I can't try. And I just want to encourage every scholar to try again as we work through these division problems. And I'm confident that as you continue to try and to continue to practice, even if you have hiccups along the way, I'm confident that you will be successful in mastering this skill at some point. Don't give up because you're having a little trouble. So our first example is 256 divided by 47. And what I like to do, just like we did with multiplication, I like to go ahead and estimate, do a mental estimation of what my quotient should be. And then that'll help me so that once I actually divide using whatever written method I choose, if my quotient is higher or lower, I will check higher or lower than my estimate. I will check just to make sure I've done it correctly. But this gives me a good kind of starting point. Okay, so I estimate first my divisor of 47 to be 50. And then I estimated my dividend of 256 to be 250. And I chose those numbers because I know that 25 is a multiple of 5. So it's a friendly number to divide. So 250 divided by 50 is equivalent to 25 divided by 5, which equals 5. So in my mind, I'm thinking my quotient is probably going to be 5. I can probably get 5 groups of 47 at least. Let's see if that's a good estimate. So I'm going to first begin the area model by decomposing my dividend. So in this example, scholars have been working a lot with, well, in 5th grade, scholars have worked a lot with place value. And in the area model, we will essentially break apart or decompose our number based on the place value and divide as much as we can based on each place value. So let's just remember what the place value is for these examples. So I'm going to look, I have a 2 in the hundreds place. Let me use a different marker here. Hold on a second. So I have 2 hundreds, 5 tens, and 6 ones. And I will decompose that based on expanded form. That means that if I added up the value of each number, 200 is written as 200. 5 tens is the same thing as 50. And 6 ones. So the value of that number, if I expanded it, would be 200 plus 50 plus 6. So let's use that idea to go ahead and set up our area model. So here we go. Again, just to remind myself and to not forget. Okay, I am going to write my estimate of my quotient. 256 divided by 47 is approximately, I think it's approximately 5. So now that I have that, let me go ahead and set up my area model. I first begin by drawing a rectangle. Okay. And because I have 3 place values in my dividend, the hundreds, the tens, and the ones, I'm going to partition or divide my area model into 3 sections by drawing 2 vertical lines. Now that I have those 3 sections, the next step that I'm going to take is I'm going to write my divisor, what I'm dividing by. That's 47. And I'm going to go ahead and write that decomposition of the dividend. So I'm dividing it 2 hundreds, 5 tens, and 6 ones. And now that I'm ready to rock and roll, my first step is I'm going to think about, well, how many possible groups? Well, I thought that I could make 5 groups, right? So what I'm going to do to kind of see if that's actually correct, I am going to go ahead and write down some things I know about multiples of 47. So I know that 47 times 1 is easy. That's 47. So I know I can make at least one group of 47 because I would have plenty available if I subtracted just one group. So let me think about, well, what's 47 times 2? Well, 47 times 2, I could just add another 47 to figure it out. So 7 plus 7 is 14. I bundle the 1. That's 94. I still have some available groups that I could share. So based on this, I'm thinking that I could probably add another group. So I'm going to add another group. I'm thinking 47 times 3. Well, I could just add another 47 to get my third group. 7 plus 4, that gives me 11. I bundle my 1, that gives me 14. That gives me 141. So I'm getting a good idea of what I can do. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to guess that I could probably get at least 4 groups when I'm looking at my place value of 200s. So what's 47 times 4? I still need to add one more group of 47, and let's see how close I will get. Well, 47 times 4 I can see is 188, and that is less than my dividend, of 200. So I'm going to go ahead first and subtract the 188. So I know that I can at least make 4 groups of 47. So I'm going to subtract that. I need to unbundle from my tens and my hundreds. This becomes 1, this becomes 9 eventually, and this becomes a 10. 10 minus 8 gives me 2. 9 minus 8 gives me 1. So now I'm going to take my 12 that was remaining here, and I'm going to add it to what was left over. Excuse me, it wasn't left over. I'm going to add it to the next place value. So now I have 2 plus 5 plus 1, that gives me 6. So now I have 62 remaining. So I'm asking myself, is 62 enough to make one group of 47? And it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make one more group. So I'm going to add to my number of groups here. 1 times 47 is 47. And I must subtract again. So what you might notice with the area model is I'm subtracting the most amount of groups from every place value, and then I am adding anything left over to the next place value until I have no more place values to add to. So let's look at how much I will have remaining after I subtract this next group. 12 minus 7 is 5. 5 minus 4 is 1. So I have 15 remaining. So I'm going to take that 15 and add it to the 6. Let's see if I can make another group. 6 plus 5 is 11. I bundled the 1. So that's 21. 21 is less than 47, so I cannot share that equally. So what I would end up having is a group of 5. 4 plus 1 is 5. With a remainder, I'm going to circle my remainder, a remainder of 21. So my actual answer, my quotient, would be 5 with a remainder of 21. Now, I can always check to see that my division is correct with multiplication. So let's do that. If I believe I could make 5 groups of 47, the first thing I'm going to do to check it is I'm going to multiply 47 times 5, and we know that that's 35. I bundle a 3. That's going to give me 235. And if I add in, now I can take my 235 and add my remainder of 21. 5 plus 1 gives me 6. 3 plus 2 gives me 5, and that's 200. So I can see that once I checked it, I ended up with my original dividend of 256, which means that is correct. So now we're going to try one more example, but before we do that example, in this next example, we're going to estimate again, and then we're going to try and see if our estimate was close. So in this case, our estimate of 5 as a quotient was pretty spot on. 5 got us really close to 256. We did not pass 256. So let's go ahead and prepare for another example. Okay, so here's our next example. But before we get into the next example, we have a couple scholars that want to cheer us on. I have my 5th grade class here, or some of my 5th grade scholars. They want to cheer us on. And so let's go ahead and dive into the next one. Let's see if we can knock our next example out. Okay, so here we go. This example, again, this time we have an example where we're dividing 236 divided by 39. And I have already estimated. And again, just because I'm having trouble doesn't mean I can't try. So let's go ahead and try this one. Okay, First thing I'm going to do is estimate the divisor of 39, and I estimated that to be 40 because 39 is close to 40. Then I estimated my divisor to be 240 because, one, it's reasonable, it's close to 236, but I also know that 24 is a multiple of 4. So when I divide that out, my estimate shows me that I should approximately have, I think that my quotient would be close to 6. I think that I could make 6 groups of 39, and that will get me really, really close to 236. So let's see if that's correct. I'm going to start by setting up the area model. And I'm going to do that by drawing a rectangle. Okay. And then I'm going to write down, I'm going to decompose, again, I'm going to decompose this area model into 3 different sections because I have 3 digits in my dividend. So I have 200. Let me redraw that really quickly. I have 200s, so I'm going to put 200s there. I also have 3 10s, so I put 30 there, and 6 1s. And I'm dividing this by 39. So I always want to start by trying to figure out what I already know about the number 39. I know that my first multiple, so I'm thinking I need to probably skip count by 39s because my group size that I'm subtracting are groups of 39. So I need to figure out, well, how many groups of 39 would I end up with if I shared my 236 evenly? So the first thing I notice is 39 times 1. I know that's 1, so that's my first group of 39. And 39 times 2, well, let's see. If I don't know it, I'm just going to go ahead and add another 39. So I don't know it, so 39 times 2 is going to give me 78. So I'm going to keep sharing because I know that in the hundreds place I have 2 hundreds. So I have plenty more that I could subtract. I know that I could probably add another group of 39. So 3 groups of 39. What would that give me? That would give me 117. And again, it's looking like I could probably add another group of 39 because I have 200 in the hundreds place, right? So I'm going to try to get as close to 200 as I can. Let me add another group of 39. So 9 plus 6, that gives me 16. I bundle the 1, that's 5, 156. Wow, I'm getting very close, but still not close enough. I'm going to add one more group of 39. 15. That's pretty close, 195. So I think I'll go with that. Well, how many groups of 39 is that? Well, this is 1 group of 39. 2 groups of 39 would be 2 groups of 39, it's 78. 3 groups of 39, or 3 times 39 is 117. 4 groups of 39, 156. 5 groups of 39 would be 195. So I'm going to first put my 5 groups of 39, and I'm going to subtract the 195 from my 200. So again, I have to unbundle. This becomes 1, 9, 10. 10 minus 5 gives me 5. I'm going to take that 5 and I'm going to add it now to my next place value here. So now I have 30 plus 5. I know that that's 35. Well, the size of my groups that I'm sharing is 39. Right now, I only have 35 available to share when I look at the tens place. So that's still, it's close, but it's not enough. And so what I'm going to do is say, well, when I look at this place value, I could share 0 groups. But let's see what happens when I add this 35 to my last place value. So I have 35 plus, let me rewrite that. I have 35 plus 6, okay? So 6 plus 5 is 11, bundle of 1, that gives me 41. Well, 41 certainly is enough. I can make at least one group of 39, so let me go ahead and subtract that. That's going to give me 2 remaining. So my remainder, I'm going to circle it here, and I get 5 plus 0 plus 1. So my actual answer, 236 divided by 39 equals 6. I can make 6 total groups with a remainder of 2. So that was pretty close. My estimate of 6 as a quotient was pretty close. Now, last thing I'll do, let's go ahead and check this with multiplication. So to check our work, I'm going to take my the number of groups I was able to make, that's 6, and multiply it by the size of my group. So I have 39. Let me slide this over. 39 times 6. Well, what is that? 6 times 9 gives me 54. Bundle to 5. 18, that's 23. Yes. Plus, what's my remainder? My remainder was 2. I'm going to add that 2. 234 plus 2 gives me 236. And I see that 236 was my original dividend. So that means that my division was correct. So this is how we would use area model. You just continue to subtract the maximum number of groups and add your remaining amount to the next place value. So parents and scholars, we started with the area model today because that has been the written method that relates the most closely to place value. So once they decompose it, they're subtracting the maximum number of groups based on place value. In our next video, we will move on to look at the area model, the standard algorithm, which is also what a lot of scholars are familiar with. But the standard algorithm has lots of steps. You're also subtracting by place value, but scholars sometimes just can get tripped up because it has multiple steps. So we'll take a look at how we can use estimation to help with our thinking and knock out the standard algorithm. And the last video on division will be a video that allows scholars to look at what's called the partial quotient method. And I believe this method is very helpful for large dividends, and so we'll use that in our subsequent videos. I hope that this has been helpful. Share, and practice. Can't wait to see you in the next math video. Keep growing.